Hi, good evening. Welcome.
Good evening, ma'am. Good evening. A very good evening, ma'am.
Yes, good evening to everyone.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening. So, as we are just waiting for the rest to join, maybe you could just introduce yourself on the chat, say where are you from, and maybe which school and which place. Hi, Priya. So, we have people from Bombay, we have Kavita from the UK. Where are the others from? I'm from Delhi, Gurgaon. Hi, Cleona.
Hello, ma'am. Join us and then we'll start the next 1 minute. Start
Neha, Annette,
Yes, Shashri.
we could start now.
Yes.
Okay. Very warm welcome to another session of Adhyayan's Community of Practice on Saturday afternoon. So, the last few months, 6 months, when the pandemic has thrown open itself on us. So, if there's one community who's been really, really like martyrs, I think it is we educators. So, we educators had to really kind of, learn, unlearn, and start doing things that we were never trained for. So, in that sense, we've been really, knights in shining armor. And we can proudly say that we've given our best because we didn't want learning to stop our students. And in this on this platform, what we've been doing is all of us coming together and talking about what we are doing, questioning, learning from each other, and that's kind of really helped us move ahead. And so when you share with us what's happening in your school, what we can do is kind of give you an opportunity to share with the wider group. So that's what we've been doing every fortnight on Saturdays. So where we have leaders from all over the country, and many times even from outside of our country, from the US and Canada, we've had experts, educationists, and other leaders coming and sharing about best practices. And we've learned and taken from back to our schools, implemented, tried and seen what's working, and again come back here to share our experiences. So, in that sense, um, you know, we've learned a lot, just like how we expect students learn from their peers. We also have had this opportunity to learn from one another. And so today, and at this stage, after 6 months down with the pandemic and after the lockdown and everything, and around the globe, there are many places, many countries where schools have started slowly reopening, and maybe partial reopening. Some schools have also started reopening, with more students and teachers coming in. Even in our country, we are at a stage where our government is now kind of the end of September has kind of just said that we could start partially at least opening schools, or even leave the option to students if they want to come in, especially students of the exam classes or students who want support could come in. So with that being the burning issue right now, we thought that this could be something that we can on today put our heads together and thrash out what's happening and what are some of the best things, best practices that we can take ahead, and how best we can be prepared to get our students and teachers back into school. Neha, you want to add on something?
No, I think we're good. We're good to go ahead. Yeah.
So,
I think what I just wanted to do was to welcome everybody. And I'm really happy to see that we have some familiar names and faces as well as new ones. So help help the community grow. I think that's what it is, and that's what the pandemic has also taught us.
yeah. So let's start with a poll. And Annette, I would request Annette to administer a poll for us. So since we've already 5 6 months down, so I'm sure as leaders, most of us are now thinking about whenever we want to reopen, how are we going to, and we are planning about reopening. So what is the status as of now? So how many of us have already reopened? How many of us are looking at reopening in the near future, and how many of us are still kind of wondering what to do, when to open, and it's still indefinite? So if we could just get a sense of that from this cohort. So there's the poll. You have three options there.
I hope everybody is able to see the poll.
Yes.
Yeah, great. So it'll be good to put it on the poll.
Currently, only 25 of 42 participants have given their responses.
Yes. So another 30 seconds more. This is a very simple one. For some reason, Jayashree, I'm not able to see the poll, so you can go ahead.
Oh, okay. Just
Yeah.
27 have voted, 27 have responded out of 43. So is there a problem with some people accessing the poll? I'm just wondering. Okay, so I think we'll just close the poll. So what I see here on the screen is 24%, that is seven votes we have here for planning to reopen soon. And we have about 22 saying not yet decided. So
maybe we can share the results. Yeah, the results are here. Correct. You're right. 24 and 25% and 75%.
yes.
Yeah, so then in that case, maybe what we should be doing is skipping the second question and going straight to the third. So Annette, would you like to do that? Because I think that
Yeah.
would be the better one. Since nobody has already reopened, I think
Reopened.
let's go to the third one. Yeah. Yeah.
So here you have four options. What has been your focus? What has been your what has gained your focus the maximum out of these four?
That's right. It is a multiple choice, and thanks for pointing that out. That you don't have to have only one thing. Although we are saying the most,
The
so it
most.
would be nice to have your priority identified. Yeah. Mm. Right.
Okay. So we have about 34, 75% have responded to this. And yeah, most of us, I think, have really focused on student safety and hygiene rules. So followed by about 47% on safety, sanitation, infrastructure. Then we also have people who have focused on teacher anxieties and parent anxieties as well. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So it seems
Yes.
like,
Kavita.
yeah, Jayashree, sorry. Hi, I'm Kavita. So I think Jayashree and Neha and I have been sort of thinking about what is it that is going to be really important for everybody. And I think what's come through very clearly is infrastructure, followed by safety, student safety. So I'm in, just to give you a quick check-in from where I am. I'm in the UK where schools had reopened almost 3 weeks ago. And children have been in schools in what they call bubbles, right? So the bubble is really the class cohort. So everybody in say grade 3 or everybody in grade 4 would all be in their bubble. And initially the feeling was that it's all going to be fine. There is no difficulty. But gradually and closer to, in fact, the break that was coming, there has been an outbreak of COVID in the children, and it is very clearly problematic. Almost every bubble has had one or two cases, and with the result that they've been asked to go home and stay home. And it is, almost like somebody was telling me that it's not about whether children are going to get unwell or COVID. It's about when are they going to get it, if they are going to be in that space. So one thing that when we've been walking around and looking at schools when they are in session, and then around the time when they close, you see that inside the school there is a very clear following of protocols, norms, rules, etc. But the minute it kind of comes into the children walk out of the gate, that's it. There is almost no social distancing, nothing that says that this is how they will be. So Jeshri, back to you in terms of, it's a real concern that everybody has. I can see that in India this is an issue, and I can understand schools and being more sort of afraid than offices where you have the possibility that adults will simply be able to maintain that distance because they're aware of the norms and they're aware of what has to happen. But expecting students to follow rules has always been a challenge, even within school. And then expecting that to happen when they have not met their friends for so long and not been part of social groups is going to be the bigger thing. So I guess it's about that. That is going to be a big question mark, and so yeah. Yeah, Jesh.
Yeah, yes. So, Kavita, when you talked about schools in the UK, so this is how I think classrooms in different parts of the world, I was just looking and then I just kind of, got these classrooms from Uruguay, China, Japan. This is how classrooms look. However, but I think when students go out, I'm not sure, like, as you say, if they're going to be maintaining the social distance, and that's going to be really difficult. So how would our classrooms look like, I wonder? Sometimes in India, we don't have the luxury of space. So can we even help children have social distancing? That's going to be another big challenge. So we have several challenges like this. So, but however, talking about the pandemic itself, I think we've learned a lot. And like right in the beginning, as I said, well, we've learned to teach newly. I think we've made a huge paradigm shift in our teaching and learning practices, in the way we have adopted technology. So a lot of things have come our way as lessons. So if we could just kind of pause here and think a little bit on, what are some of the lessons that the pandemic has really taught us? And if we have indeed learned lessons, how are we going to use some of these that we have learned and we want to retain when we go back to our physical space, physical classrooms? So if we could just think about it and share. So I invite you to maybe kind of unmute yourself and speak, or we could also put it in the chat, so that we look at each other's responses, and also kind of maybe if you want ask questions from one another. Let's spend a few minutes on this. Once you're ready to speak, anybody, I would request you to unmute yourself and speak, and the others could also continue to type on chat.
Yes, ma'am. I'm Francis from Don Bosco.
Yes.
Yes. So one lesson is that we have learnt is that whatever happens, the life should go on. Okay. There should not be a break. And that is what through online classes also we have learned that in fact, things are going on smoothly, but it's going to be a challenge once the school reopens. But one important lesson is that life has to go on at any cost.
Yeah. Life has to go on, and so student learning can't stop. So in our context, if we say student learning has to go on,
Yes.
uninterrupted. Yes. Anybody else?
Jayashree, if I may.
Yes, please. Yes, Anjali.
One lesson ma'am, can I speak? One lesson what we have learned is that we were supposed to make a balance between the nature and the human beings, we were supposed to make a balance, but because of our needs we started cutting the forest, and because of that the ecosystem got disturbed. So one lesson what we got is, when we start disturbing the things, when we start snatching the things which don't belong to us, then all these viruses, they come through, which were only coming in the nature and the animals, then these human also, it entered in the human also. So we should not snatch or grab the things which are not meant for us. So we should save our wildlife, we should save our forest, trees, etc.
Yeah. Thank you. Yes, Anjali, you would want to say something?
Yeah, I was just going to say that I think more than anything else, social responsibility
Mm-hmm.
and what we really need to develop in terms of respect for certain aspects of living our lives will have to change. I don't think it can be totally centered on the self anymore. I think safety and survival depends on a nature that will include a lot of social responsibility. So it may be that I don't like wearing a mask, but you know, the mask is not just to keep me safe, but the mask is meant to keep somebody else safe as well. My mask will keep me safe, my mask will keep somebody else safe. So just the sense of social obligation, of social responsibility will need to be upped if we are ever to think of just going back to school. Uh, yeah, that's my bit.
Thank
So
you.
Jayashree, there have been quite a
Yes,
few
on the chat.
comments in the chat also, where it's about, we learn teamwork between
Right.
not only the teacher and students but also parents, especially the small kids, community service, social responsibility. We learned on what is essential in the curriculum.
Yeah.
So yeah. And yes, influence is the key. We need to build authority online. We need to learn to communicate online. Okay. It has also taught us to follow hygiene rules and at all times. And as Anjali said, social responsibility, refine recruitment skills. Okay, that's a suggestions that have been given as to what we need to do. Virtual
Alternative
classrooms in
curriculum.
some ways have also, they have to continue is the learning. Uh, Digital marketing skills to make money online. Okay. Believe,
Resilience in students. Yes, of course.
yes, build resilience in students, empower teachers, and online classes to be retained, augment the in-school program with an online class and create a value-added service. Multitasking, yes. Hybrid learning model to continue. What matters most is is education, alternative curriculum. So we have lots of responses in terms of what are the takeaways from this absolute situation that we were all thrown in.
Right. So, it has taken a pandemic for us to learn all this. So that's a very unfortunate part. But
Yeah,
however,
I think that's something everybody must be familiar with, the WhatsApp that's been going on, that the Teacher of the Year award goes to, and that's COVID-19,
COVID-19.
right? So as here Kavita summed it up, saying we learned that teachers can learn new skills really quickly and the students can use technology as well to learn
Yeah.
and get independent. Yes.
So as you know, we've just been kind of saying. So what's important is we don't let these lessons just slip away, but we take them forward and we make sure that we kind of help, ensure that these lessons are taken forward and reaches our students. If we want students to become resilient, so what are the things that we're going to do again in our classrooms when we are back to school to see that they are indeed resilient? So so these kind of things. So. If um, so the what we would next want to do is, now if the government is indeed now saying that we could partially open schools and we could give the option to students to see if they want to come in, and they can come in, and we also hear that in some schools teachers have started coming in to school. So what are some of the preparations that we've made for our classrooms, for our schools? And what are some of the challenges that we foresee? And if we do have these challenges coming in once we reopen schools, how are we going to face them? What are some of the contingency plans that we have? So, as leaders, I'm sure many of us are thinking about this and maybe also confused about how we can do, because we have a lot of other constraints as well. So, it's good for us to kind of maybe get into small groups and listen to one another and come out with ideas so that we have some things to take away at the end of the session today. So we thought we could get you into small groups in breakout rooms. And when you go into your breakout rooms, we would like you to talk about what preparations you've made and what are some of the challenges that you've been having. And also, once the children come, what are some of the challenges that you foresee and how are you going to tackle those? So, in your breakout rooms, we request you to nominate one person who will collate whatever is being discussed. And we would like that person to share when we get back to the main room. And also, it's very important that we give equal airtime for all members in your group. So, Annette, how many do you want some kind of prefix to the names for you to get into
Yes.
these breakout rooms? So, could you just explain that?
Okay. So if you all have already begun your school, okay. Hello. Yes, Kavita, sorry.
Nobody
No,
identified
nobody has
themselves.
Nobody
started.
has started school. We have teachers and the exam year students coming in some schools, and in the other schools we have they have not yet started. So should we name them as B and C then?
So also, I think just really broad to bring you up to speed, there are schools that have
Schools,
started,
yeah.
by the way, and most of them have begun with either the teachers coming in and or with the exam years starting. So the 10th and the 12th standard students have started coming in as well. There are, yeah, so I think there are schools, but at the moment, clearly right now, there is nobody, even in Maharashtra, the teachers coming in is something that has been allowed, and so teachers have begun to come into schools. So I think there are different levels that we have seen happening. There are some schools where teachers have started, some schools where teachers and high school students of 10th and 12th have started, and some which are preparing to actually open to different year groups coming in at different times of the week. So, but that hasn't yet opened. The likelihood of that happening in the coming months is very high. So it would be interesting to think about what has been our experience is that even in those schools where teachers have to come in and be in the school, they are basically teaching from the school. It's not as if they are coming in and just sitting there. The same classes are happening, but it's happening from within the school. So there's possibly more a greater sense of you know well, I mean, the readiness for opening is going to happen only when people step into a school. Otherwise, as long as there is nobody in the school, it's not going to happen. So I think that's kind of begun to happen. Yes, a lot of the reason could be because the devices and data for teachers is easier from school, and also the silence, the space, the place to work, because at home it is difficult. A lot of teachers live in large families where you have to compete for a quiet space. So I think that's the kind of thing that we've seen across the country at the moment. And I guess what you've been pointing out on the chat to do with fees is going to be, I mean, you cannot ask for fees if you do not run your school, because that becomes like a bit of a impossibility. So if teachers can come to school and run class, then it is possible for you to sort of go back to that as well. So there are multiple reasons apart from government orders why people feel that schools should begin in the way that they used to be. There is not possible, but in the way which we are talking about of gradually getting in people, starting with teachers, with the exam years and then going to the others. Exam years specifically because there is a feeling that the children who need support the most, like the ones who have difficulties and need to have face-to-face time with teachers, can come in and make that possible. Jeshri, you want to go ahead with so I don't know if Annette needs to do.
I think we can go. We can make random groups.
Automatic.
I think is what I feel. Automatic.
Annette, you can do it like that. Yeah.
Yeah. You can.
And we
Annette, you
can
can just
have
make
5
automatic
groups.
Yeah.
Okay.
Annette,
5 groups. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can have 5 groups.
Yeah, just a minute.
So in the group, I think you can see the slide right now. So before we move into the groups, can Jeshri, do you want to reiterate what has to be done in the group?
Yeah. So, what you would do is in your group, just have a discussion around in your school, what are the preparations that you've been able to do, and in terms of maybe whatever student hygiene, your infrastructure, getting your teachers ready, getting your parents ready for physical space. So, what are the preparations that you've done? As well as what challenges do you foresee in spite of many times in spite of being really prepared, we would want to kind of keep in mind that these might still happen and some contingency plan for those. So for example, what would happen if there is a COVID case which suddenly comes up? So what would you do in that case? Is your infirmary prepared? How would you want to, those kind of things. So what are the preparations that you've done in your school and what challenges you foresee? If you could just kind of discuss among yourselves in your group, and one person takes notes so that that person can come back to the main room and share what was what were the highlights of the discussion in your group. And it's extremely important. Please ensure that everybody is given a chance to speak so that we have everybody's voice heard. So, so you will very soon get an invite.
Jayashree, if you can just go back to that slide, I thought I could just enter it into the chat as well. Though everybody, I think, has already got it.
Are we talking about this?
No,
The previous.
what to do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, Jeshri.
Everybody's been assigned. They've gone.
Yes, I think they're okay. Yes,
Yeah,
Seema.
I haven't got an invite. Sorry, I missed out the invite.
1 second. Okay. Yeah, you must have received it now. Dominic, Nidhi, Seema, have you all received it? Priyanka?
No, I haven't received it as yet.
Okay, you are invited to group 3. Okay, I'm just sending an invite once again. Now group 3.
Yeah, now I've got.
Okay. Nidhi, Priyanka? Dominic, Priyanka? Dominic, have you received the link?
No, ma'am, I didn't receive, ma'am, till now, ma'am.
1 second. Okay, you must have received it now. Anuradha?
Yes, Annette.
Yeah, have you received the link, the invite?
Means on mail?
No, the invite to the room.
Actually, I had received, but then I lost
Okay,
my
you
connection.
logged
I
out.
joined back, yeah.
Okay, 1 second. I'll just send it. Okay, you must have received it now.
It will come on my screen only. No, I cannot see
Yeah,
anything.
yeah. Are you on your mobile?
No, on laptop.
Yes, I've invited you to room number 2.
But then I cannot see anything here. How will I join?
One second. Oh, I'm just sending you to room number 1. Then. One second. Did you get a invite now? Just check once.
Because I cannot see anything in it. It's just my name.
Okay. Can you just slide once? Not yet, Anuradha.
Oh no.
One second. Let me just check. Okay. Now?
Yeah. I got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hello. Dominic, did you just drop out? Hello, Sunil. You must have received an invite to join room number 1. Hello, Anuradha. Hello.
Yes, Annette, I'm facing lot of network.
Yeah, I realized that. Yeah, you were in room number
Number two.
2. Okay, I'm just sending you that. Yeah, you
Yes.
must have received it.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I'm sorry, but
No, that's fine. Hello, Sunil. Hello, Dominic. Can you tell me? Hello, can you tell me in which room were you all so that I can assign you all the room? Hello, Dominic.
Ma'am, some connectivity issue has been coming, ma'am. I'm just going out.
Oh, okay.
Some little bit.
Okay. I'll just assign you room number 1.
Hello.
Hello. Yes, Sunil.
Yeah. Actually, I'm having full network issue, ma'am. I'm not able to join there and coming in.
Okay. So I'll just assign you one room, Sunil. Okay. Anyway, in case you drop out again, yeah, just join again. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You must have received an invite.
I think we're all back, but I can't see Neha and Jashri.
No, I'm there.
Okay, great.
I'm there. Jayshree is also here.
All right.
And we have lots of videos on as well. So that's great.
Yeah. Yeah. So you want a download from everybody?
Yes. So are we all breakout rooms have come back?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So I hope we have had one scribe in each breakout room, and who can now share what you discussed and what were some of the ideas or challenges that you heard from one another. Anybody could go. Breakout room one. Yeah.
Okay, hi, this is Jyotsna from breakout room number 1.
Okay.
Um, we were there were three of us in the group actually. Cleona and myself were from the same school, and that is Don Bosco Nerul, and we had Asha ma'am with us. She is from Little Scholars Uttarakhand. Now we just discussed amongst ourselves what really is happening around us, where we every day we receive a different notice saying that school is going to reopen now, tomorrow, day after, never, ever, that kind of a thing. So everyone is confused now. Basically, the feelers that we've got from all the parents is that they don't want school to reopen until the pandemic is over. As Cleona ma'am said, in class 12th, the commerce section parents are not ready to are not ready to send their children to school, because they feel that online teaching is good enough for them. They don't need to do any practicals and stuff. The science section parents are worried because they're worried about the practicals. That is the only thing, because the other lessons can be done at home. There is also a challenge of conducting practicals, is that if the teacher comes for the practicals and the students are called in a staggered way, there will still not be anybody to teach class 11, because the same teachers are used for class 11th and 12th. Right now, OLAB is being used, which is an online portal for conducting practicals. I take primary section, that is classes 1 to 5, though we were very clearly told that classes 1 to 5 will not be reopening till further notice. I still sent out feelers to the parents asking them whether, would you like to send your child to school if we were to follow all the protocols or the SOPs that are given to us by the government. And I think I got 100% no from the parents. So that's where we stand right now for the reopening of the school. Now, Asha ma'am told us that she handles nursery to class 2, and she says that 9 to 10 they were willing to 9 to 12, sorry, in their school they were willing to open the school, and they sent out a Google form for consent from the parents, and 85 to 95% of the parents said that they will not be sending their children to school. So they have started practicals through virtual laboratory, and they are working on a shift wise basis. Now, what we feel would be required if we ever were to open school is, first of all, following all the SOPs that are given to us by the government authorities. We have been told by the central government that we cannot reopen schools, but as of now, state government of Maharashtra has told us, even we got a notice today itself that said that schools should not be open, and no teachers should also be called to school unnecessarily. Um, Secondly, counseling would be a must for parents and students, because the pre-COVID situation is quite different from the post-COVID situation. So if ever we were to all go back to school, counseling, of course, the sanitization and hygiene would be very important. Some of the challenges we discussed is the financial strain on the school, because sanitization and all the other things, staggering of student entry, everything would be, they want the sanitization to take place after every session. So that would be, toilets, this, that, everything would be very difficult to handle, and the financial strain would be a lot on the school. Fees payment would become an issue, because even if we say that some can we take parental consent, and some say that you can stay at home and take it, and some say we want to come to school and take it, then there would be a disparity in fees. That would become another issue altogether. There would be double work for the teachers, because there are some unless the school is able to spend money and create an environment where there can be some taking physical classes and the same simultaneously taking online classes. So that otherwise the work for the teachers would double. It's very risky for small kids to because social distancing is exactly the opposite of what we have been teaching our children all this while, where we teach them about sharing, caring, sort of mingling with each other and all. And now we're going to be telling them, don't mingle with each other. Yeah. I can see Neha saying it. That was my last point, and I'm done.
Thanks, Jyotsna. Great.
Okay. Next.
Group number two, yes, I was the scribe of group number two by default. There was Pankaj from Little Scholars, Parveen from Samaya, Anuradha from Little Angels, Seema from Khaitan, Noida. And I think Priyanka and Harleen were there for a while, but they weren't there for the whole time. So Pankaj from Little Scholars had the same thing that Asha from the other group, Jyotsna, that you shared. And he also shared that they have acoustically managed classrooms because they're looking at whenever they start, they'll have an offline and online timetable. And the teacher to be in school and not more than 30 or 40% students being there. And offline and online means the students who come to school will obviously learn face to face. But the children who will be at home will be able to get the same access. I mean, the same lecture through the acoustically, upgraded classrooms. So, and all Wi-Fi issues in the school have been sorted. So far they've done this, but at the same bit, they don't think it's going to open at all. So before the next academic year. So. Parveen from the Somaya school, which is a CBSE school, spoke about that they have created the first draft document and they're going to start only with grade 10 and 12 in December because of the fact that the CPFC exams will be on time. And that's what they estimate it to be. So they're only calling them for practicals, and they made a clear timetable of only, there'll be 5 students to 1 teacher. And also are making a legal form with legal consultation from a legal person being consulted, so that if parents who kind of refuse that they won't send their children, would be their own calling, and the school would not be liable, because the school is actually, like she said, all the floors will be used when the kids are there and only those kids will be there. And right now also their cleaning staff has been cleaning right from the second month onwards, and so most of the school is ready, like it's not in a bad shape. So I think that's the sharing that was there. And Seema from Khaitan shared about having sent Google Form surveys to the teachers and the parents to find out what their challenges are. First to the teachers to find out what their challenges are about transport, how do they come to school, whether they have any health issues, and they analyzed, and rather are analyzing which teachers are in the high risk category because of their age or health issues or having small kids at home. So that groundwork is going on currently. And at the same time, the Wi-Fi facility in the school is also being looked at to see what is the challenges and what can be done. So that work is on simultaneously. And they've sent out another form to the parents, parents about whether they would be willing to send their kids to school and what would be the problem. So but what they are planning is that they're first going to call the teachers, and they are earmarking right now different rooms, washrooms, food, how will they come, staggered timings, carpool. So they're all in the planning stage. And Little Angels, Anuradha from Little Angels Mumbai also shared that right now there's like, the plan is not out. They're thinking. So we'll hear there's more representation from that school in the cohort, so we may hear more things.
Yeah. Who's going next?
Group 3.
Group 3, yeah.
Yes, Panmay. You'll have to unmute yourself.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. I am Aiken from Don Bosco, Tamenglong, Manipur. And my group is Group 3. And I'm very happy that all our Group 3 members are so helpful to each other, so cooperative, sharing what they have. We are sharing so nicely. Only the thing is, I cannot note down properly whatever good things they have been telling, though I will try. something which we have been sharing to each other. Uh, According to this one, the topic which we have been say preparations we have made for the post-lockdown classroom. This one is I'm just sharing my practically what happened to my school also. So that is whatever necessary things we have to do for this lockdown, say this pandemic, we have to go together with this say COVID-19. Everyone have to be go together, and for that one, with that one, we cannot stop giving educations to the childrens also. For that one, we just started something, find out so many things. We have sitting together, find out so many things. But for 2 3 days, we start running also. But we fail everything because there's we found lots of challenges there. That see, we have do the counseling to the students, we have do counseling to the teachers, we have do counseling to the parents, whatever necessary we do. In spite of all these things also, we failed. Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Okay, okay. In spite of all these things also, we fail to continue because there are lots of challenges also. The challenges are in between the even in between the teachers also. Some are negative, some are positive. In between the parents also, and between the public also, we face lots of problem. All these things we discuss in our group, and as said, not only that one, in remote areas like us, for today is the capacity. My phone is only 40% now, and network problem is very lots of network problems. Here we are facing lots of. I'm using 3 SIMs now to put on this one a hotspot and all the things so that I can attend this meeting. Like this, people are facing lots of challenges in, yes, like Mumbai, Calcutta, Chennai, and all the things. They may not face all this problem, but here, even for this, say online classes also, we have facing lots of problems, lots of challenges we have been facing. Even though we are continuing and we are inviting, say our group have decided that we will invite those who can come. Some teachers, let them come, few teachers day by day, and some students who have doubt and all the things, let them also come with all this SOP, following the SOPs, and in that way we can continue some classes as we have been continuing here also. These are some of the points which we have been discussing in our groups. Thank you.
Yeah. We also had one other, the Priya from Little Angels said about, the budget being again a constraint as it is, fees have not been coming in. And so if it
Yeah.
means that we have to sanitize schools, get the infrastructure spruced up, that would mean extra additional costs. And so that's going to be tough. And the other two teachers also from two other schools in Mumbai, so they don't see their schools opening in the near future, and they would want it like this because it kind of, anyway, children are learning because online classes have been now going on and it's quite settled, so they feel why not continue like this. Still there is assurance that children are not going to fall sick once they come back to school, so we have a vaccine or something like that, so that's what they are thinking. Thank you, I can. Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am.
I think group 4, I think we were group 4. If anybody from my group can confirm the number.
Yes, we were group 4. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think we had Krupali, who was from a pre-primary, Nana, who runs a state board, and Manjari, who's from rural Maharashtra. So there was a sort of a range of people that we had. I think what we heard was that parents of pre-primary children are actually quite eager to, and this is a Pune-based school, so quite eager to come to school, and are suggesting that they can come in small groups of 5 and have social distancing, but at least have some kind of a interactive space with the children, was what I could understand. And Krupali, I think you meant parents with children, but I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong. There was also a sense that the state government has been very clear that teachers cannot be forced to come to school, and there has been a circular to that effect, which kind of has stopped Nena school from getting teachers in, and it's been difficult to take decisions. But the big question, I guess, for all of us is that is it about not forcing, and is it a voluntary space where you can come in because you as a teacher would prefer to work from school and work with more access to the kind of devices, data, the kind of resources that you would like to use. So in which case, and obviously that is something that has to be taken into consideration, that how do we read a government circular. And the other thing was Manjari's point, which I really liked, was that she said we started working with the admin on training them up in terms of like what has to be done when we do begin, right? So that sense of preparation, that okay, if it starts, we should know what has to be done. Everybody should know what has to be done. At that point, we don't have to suddenly put into place what should happen. And I think that kind of early preparation is a really good idea, which I hope that everybody is doing, because we've seen this happen due to the pandemic, that people have learned quickly because schools closed, and so they had to quickly learn to manage to get online and to teach online. We don't have to make that into a habit that we kind of do everything when it's on our heads that we have to do it. So let's learn from that situation and do it well in advance, because knowing that at some point when we do reopen, we will still have to put a lot of precautions into place. And I think that was one of the most interesting things. Also, the fact that in rural Maharashtra, like in a lot of rural areas, and maybe that's something interesting for you to hear, that a lot of rural areas, the teachers are actually preferring to come to school if they can. And there is, because I see that a lot of people are going back to work, for example. So offices are reopening and businesses are reopening. So schools could be seen as an office reopening, where you can have come and just work from the school. And like you said, if the data and the devices are more easy to access in school, at least the teacher training, planning, what should be done as we reopen, all of that can be done in advance. Ideally, training of the teachers on various things to do with what the government is suggesting, that you just identify the most important part of your curriculum and at least teach the core. That kind of discussion can at least happen. So every school could be looking at where are we and how do we take the next step for ourselves to become better prepared and ready. I think that's what's really important, and I think that was what came through. I think we've got one more group, so I won't stop, and then we have a couple of resources that we want to share because they are really useful and important for us. So group 5, whoever wants to share from there.
Yeah, Shubhankar here from Group 5. So we discussed most of the things which were already covered. Will not go through that with the challenges of in the pre-primary and the primary schools, that primary classes to middle school, like the attendance has been less and parents have been averse to sending. I mean, when a survey has been taken, parents are sort of not willing to send them, and even when we have followed up with the parents, they're like, even if the students lose 1 year, that wouldn't be a problem. That is the general mindset of the parents. And so what this has led to is, um, I mean, there might be a academic year gap, a learning gap of 1 year for a lot of students. That was one point. The second point was, like, while the students would be coming to school, like in terms of transport or in terms of the entry and exit, there it has to be like super efficient and like super structured. Like there has to be like proper protocols and a lot of practice, and orientation has to be done for the staff as well as the parents and students also. Like the parents have to come to school and leave the students in school and collect them from school, so that the students don't mingle with others after school or before school. That was one thing. And the other thing which like we discussed was in the low income, from the schools coming from the low income background, like the financially challenged background, a lot of students have not attended school. Like around 50% of the students have not attended school. Many of them have migrated back to the villages. So when these students will come back, like either at the middle of this year or next year, so again this learning gap, how will we be bridging that learning gap? And even currently also, like the problem is like we are able to reach to only 50% of the students. So what about the other 50%? So these were a few challenges we sort of shared, apart from the ones which already has been shared. um,
Right. Yep. So,
I
yeah,
think
Neha.
everyone lost. Yeah. Yes. So, Neha, you want to share
What
some
you are
of the
sharing.
Yes, so I have put in the SOP guidelines for reopening schools, which is by the MHRD. And I'm also just pasting a link that has been shared by Will, who is an assessor with us and is in the UK. Because the background that Kavita said at the start, in terms of they have already started schools and they already have an experience of what's happening. So he has been really generous and kind enough to share the link of his school, where what are the kind of preparations that they have done. And again, I mean, I was quite stunned looking. It's a stunning document in terms of the whole, the way it's been put. So I'm just, give me a minute and I'll be putting that in as well. So these are things that maybe all of us can refer to. The MHRD also has lots of things that they have spoken about in all the aspects that we've been discussing. And I think one thing that we probably need to go back with, is to think about that, whether opening of schools is voluntary. What are the reasons, behind reopening of the schools? And of course, having all stakeholders think alike, or an option to make a choice, I think is something that we really would need to consider.
Do you
So
want to open? Do you want to just quickly, briefly give everybody a quick look at that website? If you
yes,
can share
let
your
me just
screen and
paste
do
it.
that, that would
Yeah.
be really nice. Yeah.
And yeah, I can just do that. Why is it saying it can't locate this server? Hang on.
So one of the things that we've noticed while this is link is opening is that there is um, a lot of conflicting opinion ideas about how this particular reporting of the numbers that is happening, and that is a big question mark, because I think here, at least in the UK, what I've seen is that the numbers are acknowledged immediately. There is immediate questions raised. There are particular places that go into lockdown, like Essex right now is in lockdown. That's a particular county, and it sort of moves. But I'm not so sure that that is happening in the other states of India, and like what's going on, other than the fact that I know in Goa, for example, that has been happening, where you have specific areas that are put under lockdown, and then nobody's allowed into those areas and out of those areas. So again, the schools kind of get stopped or blocked from operating depending on which part they are in. So yeah, Neha, go ahead.
Yes, so the one that I'm sharing right now has, when people can come to school, what are the guidelines? Then they have guidelines for, also each of the subjects. So I've just opened one here, which is for the physical education. So they've kind of put down, who's the person responsible for this SOP, other people involved, all the guidance material that is available with links is put down. And you can see here, what's the hazard, who's at risk, how can the hazards cause harm. I mean, it's a complete document in terms of
Risk
what's
assessment.
risk assessment that's put up here. So
Yeah.
it's really worth going through, and they have it for quite a few subjects like physical education, music, especially because where there'll be visual contact. So yeah, I can. What I would say that you would need to go through this site and see here you have face music and our risk assessment for safeguarding. So if you even click on that, you have an entire bit that goes on, like who are the vulnerable children. There's whole definition for everything, and attendance, designated safeguarding lead. Yeah.
So I think this is what we see when a school has worked everything out completely. But I think in terms of then monitoring and following it is going to be the biggest challenge for everybody. And we do have that as something that needs to be looked at very carefully. And for schools like the one Icon is talking about in like the northeast, or in a very difficult place where there's not even the internet, or there's not even signal for, because we've been to those schools, we know that there is not even a phone signal in a lot of places. So we know that one thing you can't do is you can't give up. If you feel that you have failed in being able to reach out to your parents, I think there has to be a very consistent, continuous attempt made to figure out what are the parents worried about, how can you help them, what is it that in terms of the students learning can be done through distance education. So looking at what are the other states doing, what is available on the Diksha platform, what is it that you can do in terms of sending out worksheets. So keep thinking about what it is that it will take for you to reach out to your students, keeping them engaged in some way, because I think that goes a long way. It's all about continuing to build your relationship with the parents, and continuing to let them know that you are there for them, right? And I think I'm just saying, like, I know it's hard, I know it's difficult, just don't give up. It's not a problem to fail, the problem is when you stop because of failure. Yeah, so that's important. And
Yes.
Shubhankar, I'm sure
Thank
you
you,
have
ma'am.
something to say on that. You're welcome. Yeah,
You.
Shubhankar.
Sorry, couldn't hear the last part. It got
I said,
a
I'm
bit
sure
muffled.
you have something to share on that, on not giving up. So I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
that you will have lots to say on that.
I think I have one of our partner school leaders, Parit sir, also here. So, like in the last 7 months, like I think for every 3-4 weeks we have changed.
You suddenly went on mute. Yeah.
So for the last 7 months, we 3-4 weeks we have changed. Like how do we go ahead with the implementation? First, we started the teachers recording their videos and sending to the students. Then we started calling up the parents, then distributing rations, and then along with the ration worksheets to the parents. And I think we have the teachers also have sort of upgraded from where it was a struggle to actually get them online to use online tools, and now they're using Excel sheet and Google Forms. So I think it's really been a great journey, and we keep on talking like sir and I and we're really happy that this kind of platform has been set up, because usually it's like one way communication from the education department ki, okay, you have to do this is a circular, this is a GR. There is nothing that the school leaders can come and tell, okay, this is something we are facing, we want to solve the problem like this, there's a solution from our end also. I think that voice is not heard. And I feel today like a lot of what happened in terms of a lot of in the breakout rooms and also like in the larger group, I mean a lot of school leaders did speak their concerns, what they're anticipating and how they're sort of trying to solve the problems, even though like the context is very different. But I guess the challenge and the willingness to go and solve that challenge is something which is very inspiring.
Yeah, I agree with you. So I think we all continue to inspire each other. Thank you. And Jayashree, back to you
Yeah.
for closure. Yeah.
I think thanks. Thank you for joining us on the Saturday afternoon and voicing your concerns and sharing your ideas. So just before we leave, we've got a Padlet link for you. If you could just go to the Padlet and put in your thoughts on what went well for you and what could have been done differently or what even better if. So please access the link from the chat and paste it on your browser and then you will get the Padlet.
And both the resources are pretty useful. I have been like, reading that. I would urge everyone to do take time to go through them. I'm sure they're going to be useful for everyone. Great. So it's 5:42 and we wind up the session. We meet again in 2 weeks. Enjoy the rest of the weekend. Happy Dashera to everyone. See you.
See you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Pankaj. You're back in the car, Pankaj, looks like.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Bye. We could send the MHRD link, I think, to everybody because Monica is asking if you can share the link. So, or the document itself can be sent. It's,
in the email, right?
Yeah. On
You're talking about the email. Yeah, we can send it in the email.
I particularly enjoyed that one.